So this video is if you believe that you're the exception to being able to recover. I see this fear all the time, and it was the number one fear that I struggled with whenever I was going through severe anxiety and panic and depersonalization, realization, existential OCD, health anxiety, depression, and a number of other symptoms. It feels real. Like, I know from personal experience that fear that I was the exception and that my brain was broken and that I was too far gone, it was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Nobody could have convinced me that I wasn't the exception to being able to heal. And in fact, this girl just signed up to work with me earlier today, and right before she said yes to work with me, she said, there's only one thing that I just want to ask you about. She said, I feel like I'm too far gone. She's dealing with existential OCD, which we're just going to completely knock out. DPDR, which we're just going to completely get rid of. It's going to be awesome. But she said, Jordan, I feel like I'm too far gone. Like, my symptoms are too severe to recover. And I told her, this is not your fear. This is not your thought. You think that that's specific to you, but it's not. This is an appropriate fear when you're in a severe state of fight, flight, freeze response. I rarely, pretty much never, although there are some exceptions, but I rarely get people that get on a phone call with me to work with me and are like, you know what, Jordan? I'm just really confident that I can beat this. I just have no doubts in my mind. No. People are like, I've tried everything, nothing has worked. I believe that what you're teaching is different. I've seen the video testimonials, and there's something about the way you speak. You know, I can tell you know what you're talking about, but my mind is just telling me that it's not going to work. And I even have some people that will literally avoid working with me for years because in their mind they say, well, if Jordan is really good at what he does, let's say that he's the best out there for these symptoms, if I work with him and it doesn't work, well, then that means that I will have tried the best that's out there, which will mean that I'm screwed. I've heard that quite a bit too. I'll get a call from somebody and I'll be like, how long you been following me for? And they'll be like, 4 years. And I'm like, okay, well, that's cool, but why did it take you so long to get on a call? And they'll be like, well, because I was avoiding it, because I was terrified that if I work with you and it doesn't work, then it's over. So people are going to have to take a leap of faith because your mind is going to be telling you that you're the exception. But that's normal. Some of the most profound recovery stories that I've ever been able to be a part of were people that were so convinced that they were the exception, it would blow your mind. There's one video recovery interview. I forget what her name is, but she ended up becoming a real estate agent and several other amazing things. And I think she's been now recovered for going on 3 years. I need to get with her because she reaches out a couple times a year and is like, hey, Jordan, I'm still doing good. But go watch that interview. I think it says real estate agent in the thumbnail image or in the title or something. But anyway, it's the one where there's like a plant hanging down, I remember, on the screen because I thought it was funny. But she would have really high highs, and she would be like, Jordan, oh my gosh, I'm getting my life back. She was dealing with existential OCD and DPDR too, and maybe some panic attacks. But anyway, she'd message me, Jordan, oh my gosh, my life's back to normal. I beat this. I'm so thankful for you. And then 3 days later, she would be like, Jordan, it's hopeless. I won't be able to beat this. It's like, I'm never going to be able to have more than breaks. It's over. Thank you for your help, but I don't think I can beat this. I mean, if I remember correctly, it's been a number of years ago, but I put a lot into her, so I remember her situation. That probably happened like 5 to 7 times where she was just so convinced that she wasn't going to beat this. Not only did she beat this, but she went on to get a real estate license, and she's a very successful realtor. She actually sent me her website where she lists houses and things, and her and her husband are doing amazing. And yeah, she literally was just on the couch, obsessed over existence and experiencing DPDR all day, to now she's been recovered for 3+ years and is a very successful realtor. And she wasn't even working, I believe. Yeah, because I ended up encouraging her to get a job waiting tables, because she said that's one thing that she had experience with, and she did that, and she did everything that I told her to do. And if I remember correctly, she couldn't even look at the sky without it being super triggering for her existential symptoms and DPDR. But all that I'm trying to tell you is that's like one of my greatest success stories that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And yet, at the beginning, whenever she signed up to work with me, and even throughout recovery, she was just convinced that she was the exception. And so it's not your fear. It's just the state that you're in. Your nervous system is so dysregulated that it's shutting off the part of your brain that would allow you to see an end to your suffering. And also, your nervous system is in a state where your thinking brain, your prefrontal cortex, is not online very much. That's logical, critical, creative, and contextual thinking. And so you combine a really anxious, overwhelmed state with not being able to really think clearly, and the parts of your brain that are responsible for you being able to see an end to your suffering are offline. It leads to you feel hopeless. And you couple that with having seen countless comments of people who've been struggling for 5, 10, 15, 20+ years. And then you couple that with trying all kinds of things, programs and therapists and doctors and all kinds of stuff that just didn't work. The girl that just signed up to work with me, she said, which I want to always give a clarification. I love therapists. Whenever they come to work with me, they're some of my favorite clients. They usually have such a passion to help people. But a lot of them that come to work with me, they're experiencing something called compassion fatigue, which is where if you don't know how to properly self-regulate and you're listening to people's painful experiences, you're around suffering people, it's a form of secondary trauma, and it can really, really affect you. So that's what I do with licensed mental health professionals or doctors that I work with. Anybody who's around a lot of suffering people, like, you're going to have to self-regulate. You're going to have to really, really learn the art of staying in a calm body and keeping your body in a good state. But anyway, one therapist, she said it was more just like venting. She was just kind of talking about her situation, which didn't really help. I think she said she went for 2 months. Then the other therapist, she said, tried to convert her to like her religion or something like that. And so anyway, with that being said, she has, I think she tried a couple different programs as well online, and it was more just kind of acceptance stuff or distraction. So all that I'm saying is this is an experience that I see every single week with people. And I hope that it changes. And there is a movement within the mental health field of licensed mental health professionals getting more tools and more education. I'm not saying that they're not educated, but I'm saying a lot of them have an antiquated understanding, particularly of trauma, right? Instead of seeing it as a state of nervous system overwhelm, they see it more as like a past event, very standard list of events. And with depersonalization, realization, particularly, they are due to trauma, which is a state of overwhelm in the nervous system. DPDR are trauma coping mechanisms. And so anyway, so people show up to their therapist or their doctor, and a lot of times they've never even heard of the symptoms, or maybe they have, but they approach them with modalities and approaches that aren't curative, and people end up just giving up. They just feel hopeless, because if these are the people that are supposed to be able to help me, and they can't help me, and everything else that I've tried hasn't worked, well, then what are the odds that I can actually beat this? But again, complexity bias would tell us that a complex problem requires a complex solution. But as complex as these symptoms are, and as devastating of an impact that they've had on your life, and I know I dealt with these symptoms for a very long time, and I see the devastation every single day. This is my full-time job. I'm a very private person, so some people, they don't really understand kind of even what I do, or, not only is this my full-time job, but, I've got a team that helps me, and I've been in the trenches of helping people with anxiety and DPDR for 6 years now. And I've got a really good work-life balance now, but I spent many night working into the night, day and night, just to keep this thing going and help people get this transformation. But I will tell you, after all the training that I've been through with some of the top, traumatologists in the world, and all the books that I've read, and then just working with people, you want to know what I've discovered? The solution is a lot more simple than you would ever imagine. It's safety. Not objective safety necessarily, although that's a prerequisite. Every now and then we do get somebody that is under physical danger, but 99% of the time, they're physically safe, but their brain is perceiving threat. Perceiving threat, meaning that there is no threat, but they're experiencing sensory data that is similar to painful past experiences, and it's confusing their nervous system and making it believe that there's a threat. And so your body starts to go into fight, flight, freeze response in the present. And so the way to cure this is we don't just need to do a random list of positive activities. We need to specifically do things that communicate safety to the nervous system. And I'll just tell you what they are. Now, the first one obviously requires a lot of, time, building relationship, but it's co-regulation. That's actually up to 45% of healing anxiety and trauma, according to a lot of major studies. It's this understanding that humans heal humans. Nothing will help you calm down faster than another human that understands you. And I hope that is me. I hope that I get to work with you. But regardless of whether it's me or not, you need somebody that can validate your experiences, that can build a secure attachment relationship with you, and build hope in you. Okay? It's like we're so focused on methodology, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but methodology is only about 15% of healing, according to some studies. And so you think you're missing the right method. What you're mainly missing is the right mentor. And that's not some passive pitch to work with me. I don't care if you work with me. I hope that we get to work together, and I will be able to help you, assuming that, ask some questions. I got to verify what you're dealing with. I mean, I should say I can't help everybody, but if you are dealing with the symptoms that I help with, you're hardworking, then we'll do what we can to make it work. But what I'm saying is, regardless of whether it's me or somebody else, you need somebody that understands you. You need somebody who knows what you're dealing with and can create hope in you and really connect with you. Like me having been through the symptoms, like whenever I tell people that there's hope and, oh yeah, I remember what that was like, and I explain it to them, I'm telling you, that does more than any relaxation technique or lifestyle adjustment. Those things are important, don't get me wrong. But the main reason why I have such a high success rate is because I understand what people are going through. And humans heal humans, right? The second thing, self-regulation. This is where you directly start to calm your body. You start to face your emotions and not suppress them. You start to relax your body, release adrenaline from your body. Super duper important. The third thing is exposure, which, it depends on, the client that I work with. Some people never avoided anything, but, there's a number of people that they start avoiding life. And whenever you run from your sensory triggers, your brain assumes that those triggers are a lion trying to eat you. And that can be one thing that can keep your nervous system really, really on guard and stuck in fight, flight, freeze, is that you're avoiding so much. So you need to live your life as normal. You need to face your sensory triggers while doing self-regulation skills. But the fourth thing is something called cognitive restructuring. And this is really where education comes in. Once you get a 21st century understanding of what's going on in your nervous system, it does two things. It helps strip away fear of the symptoms because you understand, oh, okay, that's why I have that symptom. That's my body trying to help me, not hurt me. Oh, okay, I'm not going crazy. That's just what happens when I'm in fight, flight, freeze. It strips away fear of the symptoms, but then also, which resistance can keep your nervous system really revved up too, but it also changes your story. Every single one of us is telling ourselves a story subconsciously, and this will be for the rest of your life. The question is, what is that story? And whenever you have symptoms and you've got a history of not being able to overcome them, the story is, I had such a wonderful life until these symptoms showed up. And now here I am struggling. Everybody else is enjoying their life, moving on, experiencing life's precious moments, and here I am stuck. And, will I ever be able to get out of this? Probably not. That story is part of what's keeping you stuck too. And when you get the right information, you start to realize how normal, appropriate, and safe your symptoms are for the state that you're in. And so you can start to change your story that you're telling yourself to one of hope. Hey, you know what? Maybe I can heal. Maybe I'm not a weak person. Maybe I'm not a bad person. Maybe I'm a good person with a painful history. That's why we've got to stop asking people what's wrong with you and start asking people what happened to you. The people that I work with are just like me in the sense of they have a very painful history, and their nervous system started to adapt because they were either in a nervous system war zone where they couldn't self-regulate even if they wanted to, or they were in a relatively safe environment, but they didn't know how to calm themselves. And whenever you don't self-regulate and calm yourself, and you're going through a lot of painful experiences, and your brain is forming sensory triggers that start deploying fight, flight, freeze, it's just going to build up. It's like a snowball effect. And usually by the time that DPDR and trauma symptoms hit, you've probably been stressed out for a long time, even if you weren't even aware of it. There's a lot of buildup that can happen subconsciously. And so that's why the symptoms suddenly are there for months or years. They appear to be random, but they're not random at all. This has been a building process for a long time for most people. There are exceptions to that. But for most people, they've got a disproportionately painful history, and it affected them in deeper ways than they even understand. And part of the reason why people don't realize how much buildup is happening is because they're here. They're dissociated, which means to separate. They're dissociated from their body, particularly interoception, which is the experience of the embodied self. Once they start to have all kinds of sensory triggers that create at least fight or flight response in the body, what we call anxiety, if they don't know how to directly calm the body, then they want to feel better, so they start to live up here. They start to live in their head all day. And then, nicotine, alcohol, unhealthy food, this thing or that thing also becomes a way to numb their body. And so they really don't even realize the severity of the state of their body because they've been checked out for usually years. And so that's why one of the first things that I do with my clients is I help them check back into their body. We can't make your body your safe place so you can be present again until we get you back in your body. But once we get you back in, then we need to befriend the body and release the buildup from the body in the presence of a safe person that can build hope in a secure attachment relationship, because humans still humans. And get them the right information and have them face life and not avoid it. Those are the four primary components that produce results for people. And it's already been proven. There are many meta-analyses that have shown that these things are effective. And so it works, but there is hope. That's what I want to say. It doesn't matter what your brain is telling you. Your body has an innate capacity to heal if there are enough activities of safety that are done. Okay? That is it. I hope you have a wonderful day. What a beautiful day this is. Let me show you. It's a nice, beautiful, see the trees. Oh, it's kind of blurry, but anyway, there we go. Beautiful day. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and smash the like if this helped you, and comment something below. Subscribe if you're not part of this channel, and I hope you guys have an amazing day.